Did the West underestimate Gabon's transitional president? Brice Oligui Nguema has stunned the global stage with his no-filter approach, shaking not only Gabon but the entire world with his bold, decisive leadership and unapologetic rhetoric. His presidency is already rewriting the rules of governance, accountability, and hope for his people. Chapter 1. The Speech That Turned Heads. When Brice Oligui Nguema addressed international audiences for the first time, it wasn't the polished, diplomatic language the West expected. His speech was raw, direct, and blisteringly honest. He called out systemic exploitation, criticized global power imbalances, and made it clear that Gabon would no longer play by the rules set by foreign powers who have historically benefited at the nation's expense. Gabon is not a charity case, he declared. We are a nation rich in resources, culture, and people who have been let down by decades of mismanagement and international meddling. That ends now. For a country that has spent years in the shadow of corruption and inequality, this was more than a speech. Chapter 2. Brice Oligui Nguema. Nguema isn't a career politician. As a military leader, his focus has always been on discipline, strategy, and results. He stepped into the presidency with one goal: to transform Gabon from a country of broken promises into a nation of possibilities. His approach to leadership is pragmatic, straightforward, and often ruthless in its pursuit of reform. He's not afraid to make enemies, whether among the elite within Gabon or powerful interests abroad, by slashing his own presidential salary and imposing salary caps across government sectors. Nguema set the tone for his administration. If the leadership is tightening its belt, so should everyone else, he declared. Born on March 3, 1975, in Haut-Ogooué province, Gabon, Oligui's roots are deeply tied to the nation's power structures. His Teke mother and Fang father, a military officer, raised him in a province considered a stronghold of the Bongo family, to whom Oligui is related through his mother. This connection would later place him at the center of Gabon's political dynamics, raised primarily by his mother's family. Oligui's upbringing was grounded in his local community. He attended Omar Bongo University before heading to Morocco to train at the Meknes Royal Military Academy, laying the foundation for his military career. Chapter 3. A career built on loyalty. Oligui's military career began as an aide-de-camp to Omar Bongo, Gabon's long-serving president, a role he held until Bongo's passing in 2009. Following this, he served as a military attaché in Morocco and Senegal, gaining valuable international experience. In 2018, he returned to Gabon to lead the intelligence wing of the Republican Guard, succeeding Colonel Frédéric Bongo, Ali Bongo's half-brother. By 2019, Oligui had risen to brigadier general, and by 2020, he became the head of the Republican Guard, Gabon's elite military unit, under his command. The unit grew significantly, with its special intervention section expanding from a modest 30 members to over 300, directly under presidential authority. Oligui's pivotal moment came during the 2023 Gabonese coup d'état, which ousted his cousin, President Ali Bongo. Discontent with Bongo's rule, fueled by allegations of corruption and constitutional violations, led to the military stepping in. Oligui was swiftly named Transitional President by the Committee for the Transition and Restoration of Institutions, a move welcomed by jubilant crowds. Upon assuming office, he pledged reforms, including free and transparent elections, a new constitution, and the release of political prisoners. True to his military roots, he even announced he would forgo a presidential salary, relying solely on his wages as the Republican Guard commander. Long time, Gabon has been a country of sharp contrasts. On one side, a small, powerful class enriched itself shamelessly. On the other, ordinary citizens struggled to access basic services. Nguema, however, wasn't content to merely highlight the problem. He is determined to be the solution. Chapter 4. Tackling corruption. For decades, corruption drained Gabon's resources, leaving public services underfunded and citizens disillusioned. Nguema's approach to corruption is anything but subtle. Under his leadership, public officials caught engaging in fraudulent activities face immediate dismissal and, in many cases, legal action. He's targeted practices like the creation of parallel companies by government officials, schemes that siphoned billions from the nation's coffers. "This stops now," he announced. His administration has already seen significant progress in rooting out these activities, earning him both praise and resistance from entrenched interests. Chapter 5. Restoring Trust in Governance. Perhaps the most striking aspect of Nguema's presidency is his ability to restore trust among the Gabonese people. For years, citizens felt abandoned by their government. Leaders flaunted wealth while the majority of the population struggled to make ends meet. By holding officials accountable and demonstrating that no one is above the law, Nguema has sent a powerful message. Gabon's government is finally working for its people. His salary cuts and slashing of political waste are not just symbolic, they're practical. These savings are being redirected to vital sectors like healthcare, education, and infrastructure. The people of Gabon, long skeptical of their leaders, are beginning to believe in the possibility of real change. Chapter 6. Transforming Gabon's Economy. Gabon's financial situation is dire. With a 30 billion CFA franc deficit, Nguema's plan is ambitious: to turn this deficit into a 10 billion CFA surplus by 2025. His strategy focuses on cutting unnecessary spending, increasing efficiency, and investing in long-term value creation. Money saved from reforms isn't just sitting in bank accounts. It's being used to build schools, improve healthcare, and upgrade infrastructure. These investments are more than economic strategies. They're lifelines for families struggling to make ends meet. Nguema's financial reforms also aim to reduce Gabon's reliance on foreign aid and loans, which often come with restrictive conditions. By focusing on self-sufficiency, he's reclaiming Gabon's economic sovereignty. Chapter 7. A break from the past. Under Ali Bongo's 14-year rule, Gabon's finances were, in the words of observers, the victim of criminal fury. Corruption was rampant, with public funds allegedly treated as a personal piggy bank for the elite. This systemic rot left Gabon's economy in tatters and its people struggling to make ends meet. Nguema's approach is starkly different. Beyond renouncing his salary, he has taken sweeping measures to reduce wasteful government spending. Allowances for lawmakers? Gone. Extravagant political funds? Eliminated. Session allowances? Scrapped. These aren't minor adjustments. They're bold moves that directly target the heart of government inefficiency. Colonel Ulrich Manfumbi, a spokesperson for the interim government, emphasized the deteriorated state of Gabon's public finances. Every day, new revelations about past mismanagement emerge, fueling the urgency of Nguema's reforms. His actions are not just about optics, they're about repairing the trust broken by years of corruption. Chapter 8. Energy Reform. Energy is the backbone of development, and for Gabon, it's been a weak link. High costs and frequent power outages have hindered progress for years. Nguema's energy reforms are tackling these issues head-on. One of his first moves was to cut out middlemen who inflated costs and slowed progress. Streamlining operations and focusing on direct management has already made a difference. But for Nguema, energy reform isn't just about keeping the lights on, it's about empowerment. Reliable and affordable energy means businesses can operate efficiently. Students can study without interruption, and hospitals can provide critical care. Energy reform also requires fighting corruption within the sector. Nguema has taken on this challenge with the same decisiveness he applies elsewhere, targeting those who profit from inefficiency and ensuring that resources reach where they're needed most. Chapter 9. Education and Healthcare. Nguema's reforms extend far beyond infrastructure. They're about improving the lives of ordinary citizens, starting with education and healthcare. For years, Gabon's schools were overcrowded, underfunded, and neglected. Teachers were scarce, and students had to make do with outdated materials. By redirecting funds from political waste, Nguema is ensuring that schools are properly equipped, teachers are adequately paid, and students have the tools they need to succeed. An educated generation isn't just good for families, it's the foundation of Gabon's long-term success. Healthcare, too, has seen a dramatic shift. Under previous administrations, corruption and inefficiency meant hospitals lacked basic equipment, and rural areas were left without access to care. Nguema's focus on accountability and proper resource allocation is changing this, offering families hope for functioning clinics and stocked pharmacies. Chapter 10. A Nation Reclaimed. Nguema's reforms are more than just policies. They're a reclaiming of Gabon's identity and potential. By addressing corruption, restoring trust, and investing in critical sectors, he's giving his people a reason to hope. Families are starting to feel the impact of these changes. Lower energy costs mean fewer impossible choices between paying bills and buying groceries. Improved public services mean survival, not just convenience. But Nguema's leadership also comes with challenges. Transforming entrenched systems takes time, and powerful forces are resistant to change. The Gabonese people are watching closely, hopeful but cautious, as they weigh the promise of reform against the realities of daily life. Chapter 11. A Lifeline for the Future. Nguema's reforms aren't just about cutting costs. They're part of a larger vision encapsulated in Gabon's Transformation Plan 2025. This isn't a collection of vague promises, it's a structured roadmap aimed at rebuilding the nation from the ground up. The plan zeroes in on three critical sectors: energy, public services, and finance. These areas have been dragging Gabon down for decades, and addressing them is essential to the country's future. Transforming a nation is no small task, and real change doesn't happen overnight. Gabonese citizens are still waiting to see the full impact of these reforms. Skeptics question whether the momentum can be sustained, while critics wonder if Nguema can deliver on all his promises. Yet, for many, the fact that change is happening at all is reason enough to believe. Nguema's actions have begun to rebuild trust in ways few thought possible. By sacrificing his presidential salary, cutting unnecessary expenditures, and holding corrupt officials accountable, he has shown that leadership is about service, not self-interest. Chapter 12. The Global Impact. Nguema's no-filter speech and bold actions have resonated far beyond Gabon. His unapologetic criticism of international power dynamics and insistence on self-sufficiency have sparked conversations about the role of African nations in the global economy. Gabon's transformation is becoming a case study in what's possible when a leader dares to challenge the status quo. The question now is whether Nguema can sustain this momentum and institutionalize these changes so they last beyond his tenure. Can he build systems that continue to work for the people of Gabon, ensuring that this progress isn't just a moment, but a movement? Nguema's leadership represents a turning point, not just for Gabon, but for nations striving to break free from cycles of corruption and dependency. His story is one of hope, resilience, and the power of bold leadership. What do you think? Can Brice Oligui Nguema's vision transform Gabon for the better? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more stories.